Hello, and welcome to the next episode of the Live Your SpaLife Show. SpaLife is a lifestyle that accepts that accomplishment and harmony coexist. I am so thrilled to introduce to you our special guest and dear friend of mine, Kimberley Borgens. She has been honored as a recipient of the Small Business Person of the Year Award from both the Greater Stockton Chamber of Commerce and the Small Business Administration of Northern California region. Kimberley Borgens is known as the Queen of Accountability, and she does that in an amazing way. The Queen Bee herself has helped business women refine their goals, unleash their inner CEO to generate greater, bigger impact, because who needs that? Everybody, to create massive income results and attain their dreams while staying true to their value. Wow. Kimberley, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Diane. So glad to be here.
It is so amazing, when people, really look at you and your success and all the amazing accomplishments that you've done. A lot of people don't realize that you started your adult life as a single mom on welfare and then swung that pendulum completely in the opposite direction of having more than 25 years of entrepreneurial success and being an owning partner in 5, not just one, but 5 thriving businesses with 100 employees and a multi-million-dollar business. I know our listeners are leaning in and saying, how did that girl do that?
Well, first off, I want to say grace of God.
Thank God.
Exactly. But second, the biggest issue for me was I found being on welfare. I got married out of high school to my high school sweetheart. We had a son. Then he didn't want responsibility anymore, and so he left. I ended up on welfare because I had way too much pride to ask for any help, and just finally decided enough is enough. I put myself through college and was able to start my first business, with nothing, basically time. And, no cash on hand. So when people say that, oh, I don't have enough money to start a business, or when I don't have, enough resources, or I don't have enough of something to start a business, I'm calling BS, because I did it, you can do it. And this was long before social networking, social media, emails, websites, all of that. And there's so much out there today. You can start a business from just about anything.
That's so wonderful. I so appreciate you just debunking that myth, because there's so many things that can come up to stop people in what they're doing, whether it's, time, money, and all of those type of aspects of it. And I love one of the aspects that you do in helping, entrepreneurial women is, taking a hobby and turning it into a profitable business, or their passion, or refining and utilizing their systems, and just, really looking at how they can build those, solid business foundations from that. I know that there's some of our listeners who have that hobby or that thought, but they just haven't systematized it, or they don't know what to do with that. So if somebody comes to you and they're coming from that place of, they're starting at nothing, and this maybe literally is a hobby, how is it that you move them from that place into having something that's thriving and successful?
Great. That's a great question. So an example, you mentioned, Diane, that we have 5 thriving businesses in our household now. And one of those was from a hobby. My husband and my kids all ride dirt bikes. I don't. One of us has to stay sane. So
thank God you're the one.
Exactly. But they all ride motorcycles, and I have 4 kids. So that was a lot of gear. It was a lot of money being spent out that I couldn't write off. See, as a business owner, my intention is to write everything off. Okay.
Yes.
So if you want to save money, look, I hear a lot of people I want to save in taxes, or I'm working a full-time job, or something like that, but you still need extra income. Building from a hobby is a perfect place to start. So you take your hobby, you look at it, how can I make money from this hobby? It's how can I make money doing exactly what I love to do? So my husband and kids, they love to ride motorcycles. So we came up with a plan of how can we make money at them riding motorcycles, so that would pay for all the gear and all the fun and all the things that they want in order to do that. So something as simple as that particular business, they do rides through the back roads of Yosemite Valley. Beautiful Yosemite. It's gorgeous, but we do the back roads. They take 100 to 150 riders twice a year. So it's an event twice a year. It's a 2-day event, and one day where we're prepping and registering everybody. And we take that all those riders through those back roads, it was a hobby, ladies and gentlemen, a hobby. And now it's been 10 years and going. It pays for itself and then some. We've met some amazing people, and that hobby is profitable. And so we get sponsors for that event, like over $10,000 worth of sponsors per event, just because they want to be involved in that hobby. So it's something as simple as motorcycle riding can be turned into, an amazing opportunity for you as a business.
I am just like, I mean, for those of you who are just listening and not seeing the video, I literally have like my jaw open, because I'm just like, that's just like a mic drop right there. Just the reframe of that, of taking what you absolutely love, I mean, that you're going to be doing anyway. And now you're actually not only having it as a business, but you're meeting people, like-minded people who are doing the same thing that you actually love. I love that reframe about, especially people who maybe not even sure what they're going to start, but starting with what they love and stepping into that. This is why you are this brilliant woman that just really looks outside the box and makes this happen for people, which leads me to really look at, you've talked about how how success feels. And part of what you do is to help cultivate that in women entrepreneurs so that they know how success feels. How is it that you do that? Because you're coming from, a feeling is this internal thing. What are you doing and showing and procuring and bringing to people's lives so that they can see how success actually feels?
Great question. So feel is a great word. I know what it feels like, but I have to admit, I'm like a taskmaster.
I love that about you.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to, put the feeling aside to take the actions that are necessary so that you can actually create that feeling inside of you of success. Now, there's a lot of amazing women who have all kinds of intentions of being successful and have great ideas for business and really want to be successful, but it's all about that feeling. And I'm going to say, drop the feeling to start and really put some action steps into place. If you want to be successful, start focusing directly on what it is that you really want to accomplish. If you focus like, I want to make, $10,000 in a month, or maybe let's just break it down even smaller, because some people can't even imagine that just yet, right? Like if you want to create $2,000 extra per month, right? You take that and you go, what can I do to create those $2,000? Create that value for yourself and then take the action steps. So when I work with my clients, that's exactly what I do. What can we put into place? How much do you want to create this month? Or how much do you want to do this month? One of my clients, she was amazing. She came to me and she's like, I need to get rid of some debt. There's a long story behind it, but she had about $60,000 worth of debt. And she wanted to get rid of it fast. And she was just tired of it all hanging over her head. We created a plan, got into action. And at the end of 10 weeks, she created $60,000 free of debt.
Wow. 10 weeks. So impressive.
Because we were able to put those action steps into place. And then the feeling after that, not only was she grateful because now that was off her back, but now she had the tools that anytime she had a problem in the future or when her husband ran up debt again, she knew she had the tools, the skills to be able to implement making that happen again in her life. She didn't have to come back to me because she had the tools that she can use for a lifetime.
Wow. This is really something, listeners, if you're just, driving your car and you maybe just, that didn't land enough for you. I mean, take a moment here with this, because when you actually are taking the action, first of all, you got the plan in place and you're taking the action, you then get to have that level of success. You're moving in that direction. That now is solidified within your body that you know what it feels like. So that action is actually leading to the feeling that fuels you to feel that success. So that is just a brilliant strategy in moving forward to then have that in your toolbox to make that happen. And I know that this, all comes into part of how you deliberately design your life. You're not doing anything by default. And I know having, part of that taskmaster part of you is having a plan. So if you can share some of the ways that you are actually designing your life that allows you to just step so fully into this.
Yeah, the first thing that I would say is I do make a plan. I create a plan at the beginning of every year, and I figure out what it is that I want to accomplish in this next year.
Right.
First thing I do is I put my family first, okay? I put all my family activities into my calendar. I put my family vacations, my family, I have 4 kids. Now they're all mostly grown up. I have one daughter who's 18, she's our youngest, and the 3 oldest are boys. And so they're adults now. But I have one grandson and I have another one on his way. And so I want to put those important things. I put in then all the things, for example, the hobby, right? The dirt bike riding, family off-road adventures. I put all those into the calendar ahead of time. I plan everything out. Then once I have those things in my calendar from the beginning, then I can work around things from there. So even, for example, having this interview, I could just pick up my calendar, know what dates I could do this with you, Diane, and, have this blessing, because I know that for a fact, everything else is planned out. It's ready. Now, I'm not saying I'm a plan master and everything is perfect to a T and I don't have room for adjustments, because I absolutely do. But I create a plan and a system in place so that I know that I'll be successful. If I know what I want at the end of the year, then I can create the steps to make that happen. So I create a plan. I prioritize what's important to me, my family, my businesses, my friends, all of the businesses, because I do have 5 businesses and I have to play in all 5 of those businesses throughout every single month.
Yeah.
At some level. And so I do pay attention to my calendar because it's important. It's what keeps me on track, that and my team. Right. And the other thing is I delegate out to my team. I don't try to do everything by myself. See, that's where women have a tendency, we have this tendency to try to do everything on our own. Men don't have that tendency. But women think in our mindset somehow, from our history, whatever that is, that we are supposed to do everything on our own and we're supposed to be Superwoman, Wonder Woman, all of the above, but we're not. And so we have to delegate out and build a team of people to support us, whether we employ them or whether they're, online, virtual, supporting us. It doesn't matter. Get help, ladies, get help.
This is so valuable to really look at this. This is where, you and I are in such sync with this because, I do so much training around the calendar and having your calendar be, your calendar is a reflection of your life and what do you want that to look like? And, looking at, you don't want to look at your calendar and have all these things that you feel like you have to do versus what you get to do, and just to step forward with. And it is such a mind shift for people to, and it's part of that lifestyle what we talk about in SpaLife. And this is where the harmony comes in, is like, how do you want to be spending your day? Like, what does that look like? And, if we don't plan for those things and, if it's not in your calendar, I will say it's not going to happen, right? You're not going to cram it in there somewhere in between all the other things that can pop up. And that's part of that busyness that people get addicted to and get part of. And when it comes to this planning, and some people can feel like, the planning can be stifling or whatever, but, it doesn't mean that it's in cement. I mean, you can move things around, but it at least gives you that, that marking of where it can happen, and you can move it around and have it be flexible. But if it's not in there at all, it's just simply not going to happen. And that sense of how you are going to feel about your life and what that's going to look like is such a valuable thing. And I love so much too about the delegation, because, I've struggled with this myself as well. Because, sometimes that mindset could be like, I can do it faster, better myself, until you actually get that right person in place. And they're like, oh, they're actually way better at this than me because they're doing the strength that they're doing. And it's like, why didn't I do this, much sooner? So just to jump into these things and embrace, I love, the structure that you have and the discipline that you have to, and your dedication to live the life that's important to you. And I'd love for you to touch on, I know also an important part for you in looking at how you are, creating your life and your lifestyle, your SpaLife is really adhering to what your core values are and not accepting anything in your life that isn't in alignment with that. Could you elaborate more on that? Because sometimes people are making a lot of their decisions based on simply just financial decisions or the things that they have to, but how does that come into play for you in utilizing your core values?
Absolutely. Core values, I sat down, both my husband and I, we sat down and we figured out like what are our core values in our family and then within ourselves. And so it just takes a little bit of time to like plan that ahead. But I know my core values. I know where I want to start from. I know who I want to serve. I know why it's important for me. And so I make decisions based on my core values. Yeah. So if I'm working with a client, for example, and they like want me to step out of my core values to be able to work with them, I respectfully say thank you and no thank you. See, I'm not afraid to say no because I know what's important to me. So knowing my values, if somebody says, Kimberly, you know, I just want you to come and I want you to speak on stage and I want you to speak about this topic, but it's not in alignment with my core values, I won't accept it. I don't care what the pay is. I mean, it sounds great, but I know that I have to live with myself in the end.
Right. Yeah.
I have to live with myself. So to me, it's extremely important to know what is important to you. And the other thing with my core values, I'll just, touch on real fast is I only let people in my circle that are in alignment with my core values. So my friends, if I know my friends and I know that they're in alignment with my core values, I don't want to hang out with people who lie. I don't want to hang out with people who cheat in business. I don't want to hang out with people who, are looking to badmouth or call other people, disrespectful names and things like that. That's not what I want to bring into my life. So if you're letting people come into your life and do that, I'm just going to say very clearly, start moving some of those people out of your way because that will take you down with them. Right. We don't want that. We want you to live highly in your core values because that's what your drive is. That's what's going to keep you going. And whether you have a business or you're listening to this for motivation or what have you, it's irrelevant. Just your core values are important and you have to honor them because when you do, that's where that SpaLife, that's where that harmony comes in, that balance. Everything can come into alignment. So if something isn't working on my calendar, I shift it based on what's necessary to create that balance and that harmony because I know that's part of my core value.
Yeah. Kimberly, this is one of the things that I just adore about you, that you're so clear about what is important to you and what's in alignment with you. And, it shows that you can actually be in integrity and stand in that and be successful, in the level that you have. And I think it's so important for our listeners to hear that because sometimes people can feel like they have to compromise that to be successful. Yeah. So I love that example that you have such servant leadership and there's something that is so important to how you are doing what you're doing in the world. And I love, as part of your core values, I'd love for you to, elaborate on why it's so important for you to work with women.
Great, because let me just add on the core value piece is that, your family, your friends, these people that want to hold you back, not because they're intending to hold you back, that really they're doing it because they want you to stay safe. And if you can stand up and raise your head up and say, you know what, I'm in alignment, I'm going to be okay, but I'm going to come back to you if I need help, then they usually can start to support you. And that's one of the reasons why I do work with women, because women have a tendency, like I already said, of not delegating, but women also take on all the energy of everybody else around them. True. We want to satisfy and make sure our family relationships are okay. And we want to, take care of, what everybody else thinks about us. But at some point, we have to remember that we're adults and that we get to make the decisions. And women, the reason I do this is because I have seen so often how, women have held themselves back. They have held themselves down. They have said, I'm not smart enough. I'm not worth enough. I'm not valuable enough. I'm not strong enough. I'm not capable enough. I've seen it in women so often. Very rarely do I see it in men with men in business. But in women have this feeling like, I got to give and give and give and give and give, and they're not willing to receive.
Right. To the point of depletion.
Yes. To where you just like check out from society in some cases. And so the reason I like working with women is because I get to help them build that back up and get to show them why it's important for you to not only to receive and give, but, to give that out, but also receive just as much, if not more back, right. Because you do deserve it. you have earned it. Every time that you've taken care of your child or your friend or your pet or all those other things in your life, you have earned the right to be able to say, yes, I deserve to have something back too. And so when I work with my clients, that's what I do, is I help them remember why it's important for them to receive as well. Receive compliments, receive gifts, receive just acknowledgement, receive the fact that they are worthy and capable of building a strong and successful business. Because we all are.
Thank you so much for just really, centering on who you serve in the world. And, with women, this is such a deeper component of who they're showing up in the world and being. And I so love you're just so clear on this aspect of it that really can help women from, the mindset part, from coming from their heart and who they're being in order to step up and do what is it they need to do. And I know you marry that into, the systems and strategies that also support them, right? It's not just, let's just rah here. It's like, okay, there's some stuff that we need to get down to make it happen. And how you bring those things together is so just powerful and impactful. So thank you for that. And I would just love to hear more about, tell me more about the making quick decisions.
I love this because I'm a fast decision maker.
Yes.
And I make fast decisions because I look at decisions a little bit differently than most people do. So the majority of the people that I come to face with is when we make decisions, we have to make them slower or methodical. And the reason we do that is because we feel like it has to be perfect, ladies.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It has to be perfect or we can't do it. Or it needs to be right. Yeah. Or it, the risk is too high, like the uncertainty is there. And so quite often people, for example, even starting a business, taking that hobby and turning it into a business, what happens is we freeze, we stop ourselves, we hold ourselves back because we're not willing to make a decision, as if every decision we make is life-threatening. Okay? I had one client and it was just amazing because she was caught up in that everything is life-threatening mode. And so making a decision was really difficult for her. But the truth was she was a physician. So she was a doctor, and it does matter that it's life-threatening in her case. But she was also doing a network marketing business on the side. And so we got into a space where I was able to show her that it's not life-threatening for this business. And if you can stop and make a conscious decision and make it quickly. See, the thing about a decision is you can make a decision and in 5 minutes later, you can make a new decision. See, and that's why I can make fast decisions, because I know 5 minutes later, if it's not working, I can make a new decision. A half hour later, if it's not working, I make a new decision, and I keep shifting those decisions and decisions and decisions and decisions. And versus thinking, if I make this decision, then everything is going to go bad for a long time.
Right.
No, make a new decision. You make a new decision. It seems simple and we're laughing about it now, but until you get in the practice of it, it feels difficult.
Right.
So,
this is gold, to really look at that aspect of it. And, a couple of things came up to me is one, kind of that course correction for a pilot, of having to make that decision and getting off track and getting back on and moving, so that you make those decisions to stay on track. And the other aspect that I just realized is that, a lot of our listeners may not know that both Kimberley and I have a background in law enforcement, and it was, critical in our day to make quick decisions. And that's probably part of when you and I are together, we are making decisions for the group and we are moving things forward. It is happening, girlfriend. It is we make very quick decisions. And I know part of that has to do, I'm sure, with our training, and we bring part of that skill set to our clients. And I actually didn't put the two together when you and I were just talking and just looking at that from what we do, because we had to make quick decisions. Yeah. But to be able to utilize that skill and know the difference between, like you did with the physician, of what is actually critical and being too perfect and waiting, because that waiting jumps into procrastination and then the mindset, and then you go down that road and you've been shot by then, right? Yeah,
and it never gets done.
Right. And so really, to utilize that as a tool to really, just trust that gut to make that decision. And I love that you follow that up with, maybe it wasn't the perfect decision, but you made the decision. And it's only until you make that decision. It's like the GPS, you know, they'll only give you direction if you actually move, right? And then, you know, if you make a wrong turn, it's like, make a U-turn or turn around or whatever. And it's the same thing with the decision. So I love that you have such practical tools to be just keeping people in momentum and having them move forward, and knowing that they can just change it, that it isn't critical to life to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I just, at a quick example, one of my staff was working on a project yesterday. She was on hold for 17 minutes, came through and they said hello and then they hung up. She's like, I didn't want to have to go back on hold again. And I'm like, well, what are you on hold for? And she told me, and I'm like, yeah, no, it's not even worth your time or energy. Just do this. And it was done. Like, I can just make that decision. And she, you know, didn't have that mindset just yet. So now she's in it. And I'm like, let's course correct this and let's get this moving, because 17 minutes of your time is not worth it.
Right. Absolutely.
Thing. And so it was just amazing to just kind of watch that play. So
Yes, I love this. I love this. So, you know, I love that, you know, this is part of, you know, the environment and the structure that you have as that guides you, and the principles that you have. And, you know, one of the things that, you know, I talk about with my clients is their environment and how much their environment impacts them in their life, and how you feel in your bedroom versus your office and the kitchen have a different experience, and that experience pulls you into that. So with that, I love to ask my guests, what is your favorite room in your home and why?
My office, I would say, is one of my favorite. I have two, but my favorite room is my office. You can see behind me, I have this big mural of the ocean. My office is all white and just clean and fresh for me. And it just, when I sit here, it's just like a new slate. It's new, fresh. And if I need, you know, a course correction, or I need to think something around, I can turn around and look at the ocean. It's just very relaxing, very calming. So when I get in my space in my home office, this is my home office. When I get into my home office space, it's just very relaxing, very, you know, I have like 2-inch thick carpeting, 2-inch, you know, I can just rub my toes in it and just connect. I know it sounds funny, but, you know, touching the earth, or, you know, connecting at the things that you enjoy. I love to visit the ocean. So for me, that's just this place for me to stop, take a few deep breaths, you know, and reset. White is just a clean, clear color of freshness, of restarting. And so that's why I made my home office the way that I did. That's my peace space and my create space, so that I can just like be in that. And it's away from the rest of the house. No, it's an addition to the house. And it just is just calming, and just, you know, we can get in and get business done and move on out and not be distracted.
Oh, that's so perfect. I mean, you've literally created an ocean and the beach in your office. I mean, even when you talk about like the feet in the carpet, it kind of almost made me feel like putting your toes in the sand, and just that whole experience of, you know, creating that environment that inspires you and makes you feel good, and being part of your path. So I love that so much. And I know that our listeners are going to want to connect with you. And also, I know that you have a free gift for them as well. Would you please share?
I do. Sure. If you go to my website, it's really simple. It's www.bealegacy.com. So bealegacy.com. If you go there, I have a book on the side there. It's Welfare to Wealth. It's a great free gift to get you started on, you know, the first steps of starting out, if you feel like you're coming from nothing. You know, even it's a great reminder, even if you think that you are advanced. But if you go to my website, again, bealegacy.com, and, you know, download that, then, you know, that'll be the first step of getting started, and you get this free gift and get you started wherever you are right now.
That is perfect. This would be so great. And then how also can our listeners stay in connection with you?
Well, I'm all over social media if you spell my name correctly.
Give them the scoop, sister.
That's right. It's Kimberley, and it's Kimberley. So the only one in the dictionary, Kimberley Borgens. And I'm on Instagram as Kimberley Borgens. I'm on Facebook, Be a Legacy for my business. I'm also Twitter. You can find me all over there for Be a Legacy. I'm all over. If you Google Kimberley Borgens, trust me, you can find something.
Oh, fantastic. Well, definitely listeners, Kimberly has just a plethora of so many different ideas and tips that are practical that you can actually implement. So thank you so much. And it's just amazing to do that. And just in alignment with the whole Spa Life conversation, if you're wondering what is Spa Life and how is it that, they're incorporating more of this into their life, and that you want to have more accomplishment with harmony, that I think you've really seen here us having this conversation how important that is. I would love for you to take my Life Reset quiz to really see and have an awareness around what's working and where you may need some support in your life. So you can go to liferesetquiz.com. It takes 4 minutes, and you'll be able to see where that is for you, as well as whether or not you're watching this on Facebook or on YouTube. You can also put in comments, and we would love to hear what is the takeaway you had from this show. What is it that was the aha, the thing that you're going to implement? What quick decision are you going to make? How is it you're going to plan things differently? And make sure that you tag both Kimberly and I, so that we can connect with you and we can answer any questions, because we want to support you in your journey and the things that you're doing. So with that, Kimberly, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom and just your beautiful presence and who you're being in the world. I so appreciate who you are.
Thank you, Diane. Mwah. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on here. Ladies, gentlemen, just pay attention. Diane's got some great tools. Go back, visit her page, get connected with her. She's an amazing woman to be a part, in relationship with. So make sure that you stay connected.
Thank you for that. Love that. Love you. And for our listeners, until we connect again, live your spa life. Bye for now. See ya.